Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart-centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughan, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. All right. Hi there. I have as my guest today, Eli Natoli. Now, Eli is a marketing strategist who supports coaches, consultants, and service providers to find the alignment between who they are, who they serve, and how to move people from, I'm curious to, I'm ready. So welcome, Eli. I am so excited to have you as my guest today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to just discovering more about, of course, the work that you do, as well as your entrepreneurial journey, because every entrepreneur's journey is unique. You know, we're each on this path called life, and there are twists and turns and peaks and valleys, and it's just always an interesting, path that it's fun to share and understand where people have kind of traveled through. So, and it typically, the journey includes lots of what I call opportunities for personal growth as well as business growth. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And it's always one of those turmoils and
I
lots of
know.
roadblocks and detour for everyone, it seems. But
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So I actually started from an agency background. I used to have a web design and web development agency, and it was at the time when online marketing was becoming the new kid on the block, and we needed to learn how to use online marketing. And so I kind of set out on this journey of learning everything that I could about marketing our agency. And although I learned the mechanics of how to do different things, like, oh, we need social media marketing and email marketing and on and on, I never really liked the way that I was being asked to do it. And by that,
Mm,
I mean, it felt like the way that I was kind of going through the motion, I was being asked to leave myself behind. Like my
mm,
personality, my voice, it's like it was detached from the task itself. And I also didn't like the fact that I wasn't honoring the people who were experiencing my marketing pieces, if that
mm.
makes sense, you know?
Yeah, totally. Because it sounds like it was just detached. It was more transactional versus purposeful and aligned.
Yeah, and everybody was giving out like follow this formula or follow this framework. And again, every single one of those formulas and frameworks that I looked at, I just was becoming somebody else to be able to market my business. And so
Mm,
I thought, you know what? Why don't I just take the mechanics of all these different pieces and look at how I personally in life, how do I connect, interact, and talk about the things I like to people and then just kind of integrate those into my marketing pieces.
mm,
And so when I did that little by little, this kind of a marketing framework took shape and everything kind of came together. It felt good. I became obsessed with marketing. I went from hating to market and promote our services to really becoming obsessed with marketing.
So
And
well, let me pause for a second. What was that you became obsessed with? I mean, what was the shift? Instead of it being like process oriented, were you feeling more like it was part of you?
So that's such an interesting question because no one's asked me that, and I don't think I've ever thought about it till just
Yeah.
now. I think
Yeah.
I became fascinated with the psychology part of it,
Yeah.
kind of understanding
Hmm.
myself, and I never put myself under a microscope like that to think about like how do I behave in a networking or a social setting,
Hmm.
or how do I connect with people? How do I have conversation? Like if I like something, because to me, if we have a solution. It's just like if I went to a restaurant and I love the food and I'm talking about it to my friend, it's the same thing to me, right?
Right.
And also understanding the psychology of people on the other side, what
Hmm.
kind of a journey do they go through, both
Yep.
emotional and logical, to kind of go through that buying decision to say, okay, this is the person and this is the solution. So I think
Hmm.
it's the psychology of it that I really fell in love with.
Yeah, I can totally relate with that because I'm an empath. So I always am like doing different perspectives of like, well, how am I feeling about this messaging? What does it evoke? And why am I, pushing away and not interested? What is going on? So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It's interesting.
And that is so important, not to get sidetracked here, but that is so important for everyone because what might work for me, my personalities and the way that I kind of interact with people might not work for someone else.
Hmm.
While the mechanics of how we do marketing might not change, but how we go about it should be different for person to person to person. And
Hmm.
if we can kind of understand ourselves and our audience better, we can fit whatever we're doing into our own way of going about doing, life
Hmm.
and business, as well as make sure our audience resonates with us, right? Because we're a human
Exactly.
being, we're humanizing the entire experience.
Right.
And I think,
And yeah,
I'm sorry.
the AI, infusion has really brought that to the surface, right? The humanizing, the,
Yes.
bringing forward that the human element. I know that there's been authenticity for quite a while as being a focus, but now it's
Yeah.
even more so. And people don't quite understand, well, what is authenticity? What is that really all about? And through your, kind of intuitive is what I'm discerning, your intuitive abilities, you're able to bring that component forward.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And to me, I mean, authenticity, it has become almost a cliche word
Mm-hmm.
for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And it's
just
like,
a blanket word. But,
yeah,
you and
yeah,
I go deeper. Well, what is really authenticity? What is it? And so that, don't get me started,
yeah.
but, I
I
totally
know, I know.
understand.
I mean, to me, it's like just going inward and, marketing from inside out versus like
Hmm.
looking outside of you. And
Right.
and I think there's another piece to this whole thing, and this was true for me, and I know it's true for a lot of people. There was a lot of pressure on my end when I was promoting and putting together marketing pieces in terms of like this piece has to do with job. Like if I'm writing this email, I have to write it in a way that it's gonna get open rates and click rates, or if the social media
Hmm.
is going out there, it has to be in a way that it's gonna grab attention. And I feel like that pressure that we put on ourselves, it actually also backfires because then we're kind of looking at what can I do to get someone to buy from me versus that's not the job of your marketing. The job of your marketing is to like each of us we have a wisdom, we have expertise that's that we're bringing into the market. Our job and our obligation is to communicate that to our audience, to help them understand their situation from our perspective, to bring our unique lens into the market and be detached from whether or not that person's going to buy from us. And I know when I
Interesting.
say that, a lot of people go, that doesn't make sense because I want to make money. Yes, I get that. But when you detach yourself from the outcome, then you show up like really strong and you do what you're supposed to do. You share your wisdom and you
Mm.
become a signal. You become a magnet. People will automatically come to you versus like this desperate energy of trying to like draw attention or grab attention.
Right. A trick or a tactic, you know,
Yeah.
a hook or a reel them in, kind of thing versus just being and
Yeah.
sharing and making that offering
Yeah.
to others. These are my perspectives. This is my wisdom. This is how I serve. So yeah, that's fascinating. So just curiously, so it sounds like you were in working within a larger agency, correct? A marketing.
It was my own agency.
Oh,
And
your
then,
own agency,
yes.
and
And
but you.
so Wendy's kind of pieces came together and it was really working for me that I wanted to shout it from the mountaintop. So I ended up writing a book called
Ah,
Service First Framework
okay.
in 2016. And that was the beginning of sort of the beginning of my own coaching and consulting. A little bit before that, people were coming to us, colleagues, friends, asking us, like, what are you guys doing? So I kind of fell into this coaching and consulting. And then I published my book. And that's how my own coaching and consulting really
I
kind
see.
of started.
Interesting. Interesting. So in 2020 hindsight, because that's how we always have the best vision, right? In the midst of things, it's sometimes chaotic, but 2020 hindsight, what's the one thing that you wished you would have done differently when you started out as an entrepreneur? Because you've been an entrepreneur for many years.
Yes, yes. I think the biggest thing, and I talk about this all the time, is I wish I had trusted my own voice a lot sooner. I
Mm.
feel like a lot of, for me, for longest time, even when I started my own coaching and consulting agency, I was still hiding behind a lot of like my posts and emails. And
Well,
there's a
trying to do
lot.
things quote unquote right,
Yes,
stuck
yes,
in that own trap, sort of, it
yes.
sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
love
and
that.
I yeah,
So that's the evolution, right? You're walking your talk. You have evolved as your marketing support, or what you're doing for others has evolved.
absolutely. And this is one of the things that I tell anyone who's willing to listen is like get to know yourself first. Get to know your why you factor first. Everybody's so focused to go understand their audience. Not that
Mm.
there's no value in that. Obviously, you need to understand your audience,
Yeah,
but get to know yourself first. Okay.
right.
And then get to know your audience through your lens. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I had done that, really gotten to know myself, I would have owned my voice
Mm.
much
Mm.
sooner.
Yeah, that's powerful. I love that. I love that. That is really important. And not too many people, like you say, talk about that, the importance of just owning that. In business, they call it USP, right? Your unique selling point. But it
Yeah.
is us. It is starting with who we are. So, and I know your specialty is working with those coaches, consultants, service providers. So curiously, what's a common false belief that they have that keeps them stuck in their business, thinking that things will just aren't going to change for them?
I think one of the common beliefs, just in general for all entrepreneurs, is that idea if I can get more eyeballs on my work, and if I can get more visibility, and it kind of combine that with fear of missing out. So then they end up in this really vicious loop of number one, becoming content creator, then being an expert, and number two, kind of spreading themselves thin on all kinds of platforms and creating content around the clock. But what I have, what I'm hearing all the time, day in, day out from people who have gone down that path is that even if you achieve what you think you're going to achieve, meaning like imagine you got hundreds of thousands of followers on following you on a social media platform, you still can do that and not be able to have a sustainable life, financially support yourself. You don't believe, you can't believe how many conversations I have with people around this, people who have huge followings and still haven't been able to get to a predictable revenue. So
Mm.
this idea of let me chase visibility, let me build up my followers, let me get certain to a certain type of engagement, and then I'm going to be able to, I'm going to be golden, I'm going to make money.
Right.
It's false.
Just
It's
sit
false.
back and watch the clients line up. So what finally prompts these experts, these purpose driven people that are trying to, create a business for themselves? What finally prompts them to say, you know what, uh, this is ridiculous. I need to fix this. What's typically the line in the sand? The obvious thing, is they're done with playing small, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking for myself, people come to me for different reasons. It could be as small as a reason like, I don't know, my emails are not working. It could be as big of a reason like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Can you help me figure out why I can't get past this plateau? For everyone's different. The reason that I kind of get to a point where like I've tried everything, I've spent all this money and nothing's working.
Hmm.
But I almost always what I see is that no matter if part of your marketing is not working, it's always because the foundation's weak. Almost always you haven't spent the time to really look at what it really takes. Number one, for you to be able to set up your presence in a way that is a signal that sets you up as the authority. And by authority, I don't mean like you know everything about, you need to know in your niche or market, but someone who says something that nobody else is saying in the market. That's how you become an authority, right? You're sharing a point of view that nobody else is sharing or has. And
Hmm.
how do you build what I call a client flywheel? Meaning it's not a funnel, it's not something that we shove people through, and it's not a linear thing, but it's a flywheel where it allows you to do just enough marketing, not over marketing, where it allows you to get in front of the right person, to engage with them, to build connection with that person, to build trust, so they are in a place where they would buy from you, enroll with you. And it's a flywheel because no matter what kind of a content you're creating, the person is experiencing, no matter which part of it is experiencing, the connection gets deeper, the trust gets deeper. So if any part of someone's marketing is not working, it's because they don't have a strong foundation and they don't have a way to intentionally and strategically to do what I said, like get in front of their ideal buyer, engaging, connecting, and get it and converting that
Yeah,
ideal buyer
yeah,
from
that
stranger to buyer. Yeah.
creating that level of just personal connection,
Hmm.
that high trust relationship is always the key. I totally agree with you in terms of it's not necessarily quantity. Yes, we'd all love to go viral and, have millions of followers, but like you said, that doesn't necessarily equate to having a thriving business. It comes down to establishing that meaningful personal connection, the trust, you know, um,
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
the foundational components. So curiously, what's your secret power, Ellie? What makes it so easy for you to fix people's frustrations around their marketing and not only get noticed, but have people, their potential clients, like building that trust? What makes
There's
it so
really
easy for you?
It is really not a secret power. Anybody can do this. Number one is, and this is what I tell people to do. Number one, get obsessed about your audience. And that's what I do. When I work with clients, I get obsessed about their audience. Like we
Mhm.
need to know everything there is to know. And I'm not talking about pain point marketing. And then get obsessed about yourself. Right? So get to know yourself and see everything that you do, like, and your audience through that lens. And number three is just find the connecting dots. So again, anybody can do this, but I think it really does take patience and curiosity. And that's why I
When
use
you
the
say
word
the
obsessed.
connect, when you say the connecting dots, meaning the similarities between the person and the audience, or what do you mean by connecting dots?
So connecting dots, but by that I mean, like for example, I just got done with a workshop inside my membership, and we're looking at a lead magnet from one of the members. And what we're looking at and this applies to any piece of your marketing. So it's not just what's happening to your audience in terms of what are they struggling with, but underneath of that, what have they tried? Why is it that the things they're trying isn't working? So really brainstorming around that. And then
Hmm.
taking a look at the person and say, okay, if all these things they've tried hasn't worked. What is it about your solution that is going to once and for all work for this person? So now you have
Mhm.
these two pieces that are very, very critical. And those two by themselves are like, if you
Right.
know those two, like you're going to
Mhm.
be like 80%, like ahead of 80% of the people in your niche. I guarantee you that.
Mm.
And then, so then taking a look and asking yourself, not by volume, but by depth. Okay, where can I get in front of this person? And all the stuff that I found out, how do I kind of put those breadcrumbs where I can talk about their situation, all the stuff that they're doing, whether it's with your content, with your lead magnet, how do I create and establish that relationship with this person? So, sort of like being very intentional, strategic of how you're taking that person and imagine it as one person. How do I put those
Mhm.
breadcrumbs to take this person through a journey? Because we all, like we said at the beginning, we all go through a journey. It's an emotional and it's a logical journey. What do I need to do to take this person through that journey? If you can create that journey step by step by step for one person, then you
Mhm.
can lead everybody else through that journey as well. It
Right.
works for everybody. Yeah.
And I mean, that person that is representing your ideal client, right? And so those are the commonalities, which is what we're looking for, is that connection, like you said, between the person you love to support and work with and what's truly going on in their lives. So yeah, it's really, I love how you mention the word intentional, because that's deep in the work that I do as well. It's not just simply putting out good copy, it's intentional with that continuity. So yeah, I love, you have a very uh analytical perception.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's great. And you're obviously very passionate about this work that you're doing. I'm just curious, what, could you share, maybe you talked a little bit about one of your clients, but can you share with us just a short anecdote about somebody that you've worked with recently, that what they were going through, and how you supported them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just so that it would be very on par with what we're talking about, which is all about understanding yourself first and then understanding your audience. One of the best example that I can give you is one of the clients that I had, brilliant, brilliant person. And he just wanted to turn his expertise into an online course or a program.
Mhm.
And
Which
he
is
had
pretty common, right?
which is
Yeah.
very, very common. And he has spent so much money, 2 years trying to do that. And he had a membership program. He was giving away so much to his people. And it was just, if I'm not mistaken, it was like $14, something ridiculous. I don't know if it was like 14 or something like that per month. And over 2 years of like pouring all this value into this membership, he had like a handful of people grabbing it. So people would come in, and he even was giving away like 7 days free, like almost nobody even wanted that. And when we first started, although his whole idea, again, just like everybody else, is like, I need to get in front of more people. I need to have more eyeballs. If they can see it, they can, I get more on board. When we started, and I, started to ask him about his audience and really understanding him, it was very, very obvious that who he was helping was a very niche type of person. Okay,
Mm.
so he's in trading and investing. And his belief is that a lot of people should not be trading at all. They have no business in trading. And the people who would benefit from his methodologies needed to have $50,000 to invest. So it's like a very niche type
Mm.
of
Mhm.
person. And he also had this very deep passion and deep, like a line in a sand type of, there are a lot of people out there who are scamming people by saying,
Mhm.
oh, it's easy. Just, all you need is like a couple $100. You're going to make millions of dollars.
Right.
So, I mean, all of that, those are his beliefs, those are his values, that's his integrity.
Mhm.
So, when we looked at all of that, then through his lens, we understood that his audience, number one, they have to have $50,000 to invest. And number two, they didn't need trading tips that he was giving away in his membership. They needed someone to support them through their decisions. Do you see the difference? So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't understand yourself and who you are, what your values and beliefs are, and what type of person you would enjoy working with, we would have never gotten there. And so
Right.
as a result of that, we ended up putting together a program, $2,000. And we had a campaign to go out. We had to close the campaign by the third email because he filled all the seats. He filled 25
Wow.
seats. He's like, I can't do any. Like he didn't know how he was gonna the first time to do it. He's like, I need to close this right now.
Wow.
That's the difference.
That is huge. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that. Just like night and day, that alignment and clarity just brings that flow. So, yeah.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what fuels us to keep doing our work, right? See that transformation in life's 2 years. He'd been struggling and dumping all of his brilliance, just think of all the work that he had been investing his time into creating the content and fueling that and not getting anywhere. So yeah, I love the work you do. So
oh,
yeah,
thank you.
because what I've seen over the course of what I've been coaching now for almost 8 years, and professional coaches, energy workers, healers, the frustrations and challenges of becoming known, attracting those clients, and building a business, and the inconsistent results that occur along the way typically dampen that original passion, right? That spark that, I could do this. I could be in business for myself. I could, create a living. And it's sad,
Yeah,
right? Seeing that struggle, but it's truly not necessary. As you've demonstrated, and I live by as well, that without a shadow of a doubt, with the right strategy and support, every coach, energy worker, service provider can truly have a thriving, passion-driven business.
yeah.
So I'm curious. I think I know the answer to this, but I'd still love to hear, what is your secret for fueling your passion to keep your energy going and this, a quest for continuing the work that you're doing? Is there a secret that you have in terms of refueling your passion? Do you have uh,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
go-to?
yeah. And I'm loving that question and the way that you're looking at it because this is something that I tell people all the time. Like, go back to the bigger mission that you have for your business and for your life and tie what you do to that. Because when you do that, when the hard days come, that's your lighthouse. You know why you're getting up every morning. And when setbacks come, they're not going to really get you down. You're just going to be like, oh, it was just a setback. I have that lighthouse. I have that big goal, that big mission that I need to move towards. So for me, every single year that goes by, and I take a look at the people that, like the example I gave you, and coincidentally, I'm interested that you said healers and wellness and health coaches. For some reason, they gravitate towards me as well a lot. And I know every single one of these experts, they bring such healing, they bring that such impact
Mm-hmm.
to not just in their business and the clients they work with, but also to the community, to everyone around them. So
Oh,
for
yeah.
me, when I work with clients, I don't see it as like I'm helping this person, grow their business and impact the lives of their clients. But how are they going to show up for their family, for their
Mm-hmm.
community? And then how are those
Absolutely.
people going to show up for their families and their community?
Yep.
So if I'm helping 10 people and each of those people go on to help, I don't know, another 100 or 200 people, it's the
Yeah.
impact is like mind blowing.
Right.
And
I call
that
it
what keeps
that
me coming.
infinite ripple effect,
Yes.
right? It just is
Yes.
infinite. It truly
Yeah.
is, because you're up
Yeah.
leveling and creating that ability for somebody to finally make their impact
Yes.
and those that they serve now are living at a new level of reality, right?
Yeah.
One of my
Yeah.
mentors, Mark Victor Hansen, co-author for the Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
Yes. Yes.
He wasn't a direct mentor of mine, but I was in a mastermind with he and Bob Proctor called the 3% Club. And it was a phenomenal experience to be, in proximity with such a visionary, both of them, Bob Proctor and Mark Victor Hansen. And one of the things well, I took away many things from that experience, but one that is front and center for me is where he shared with me, and probably has shared it with tens of thousands of people, is he said, Wendy, you really have to have that big, hairy, audacious goal, something that fuels your passion and helps you to overcome those barriers. And as you said, getting back to that original why is certainly one aspect of fueling your passion. But like Mark Victor Hansen said, just have that vision of the ripple effects, right? Or whatever else that just brings those goosebumps, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
through my entrepreneurial career, which has been about 3 decades now plus, it's changed a bit. But currently, I think it resonates exactly with what you're saying. My big audacious goal is to raise consciousness within humanity. And the way that I'm doing that is by supporting people like you who does your work to support others who do their work and support others. So collectively, we're all raising consciousness because we're allowing people the impact, fueling their impact. So
Love that.
that's my vision and what keeps me charged. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you
Yeah.
have a big audacious goal that's in addition to your why, that's fueling your passion?
Well, my goal or my big vision is to save people from bad marketing across the globe. So that, like I said, it really is tied to that impact because if we're all going to get to experience a better life. My kids are going to experience a better life. When all of us as a community come together and we are stepping into our purpose, living that, that
Yep,
life that we are meant to live, impacting the lives that we are meant to impact, then as a result, we're living in a better world, in a much lighter, more
exactly.
soul-driven, purposeful life as a whole.
Yep, I
So
love it.
I kind of keep that vision
Mhm.
of this is my role here to make sure that I am in a lot of ways like putting that a pedestal or what have you, raising people to step on that and as many people as I can to be
Mhm.
able to make the world around us a much better place.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Amen to that. So I believe you have a special gift for our audience. Step out of is it the service first framework? Let's,
That's actually very fitting for this conversation if they want to kind of understand the client flywheel that I just talked about, and
yep.
also how do you kind of go deep into your audience and yourself. I can offer a free gift, which is my book, Service First Framework.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah,
fantastic.
if
Love
they go
that. So
to,
generous.
oh, sure.
And audience, listeners, just look in the show notes and you'll find the link to grab that very powerful resource, it sounds like. So I'm super excited and grateful that you're sharing that with our audience. And Ellie, I'm sure you've really created some interest with the messaging and your perspectives. What's the best next step for these coaches, consultants, service providers who are curious about the possibility of working with you?
I would say just grab the book because just understanding this process, they can see if there's even alignment and resonance
Mhm.
with my approach, because not everyone's going to resonate with me. So that would be the first best step. And then,
Okay.
of course, I have a ton of resources on my website as well.
All right. Perfect. So again, the show notes is where you can find that link. And Ellie, it's just been so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your perspectives and expanding our view for really what is possible for these business owners in terms of, you know, reaching their audience in a very intentional way and fueling their business and their vision for success. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time and very grateful for the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time and the audience's time as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love, right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well-paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So if you're a heart-centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So check out the show notes. All right, well, this is Wendy Vaughan signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.